So hey, so guess what? So today we're gonna be pruning and deadheading our little rhodie here. So this is our favorite rhododendron. Well, one of our favorite rhododendrons. So, and I think we have some footage of when it was blooming. So here's the close-up. I hope that shows how pink that is. And then it just fades almost to a white. You can see the pink trim around the edge of it. So pretty. When you have a rhodie this size, you have a couple of options. You can just prune back for shape, just to shape it. They can get a little bit out of control. You want to be able to reach it to do your deadheading. Last year I went under there, crawled in, and cut out all the dead stems, which opened it up a little bit better. So you can also take out crossing stems. This year we're just going to prune to shape. When you're going to deadhead, you want disposable gloves because they're very sticky, and you just want to go into the bottom of where these flowered and just snap it off. But we'll bring you in close and show you what we're doing here. So you want to go to the bottom of where your rhodie flowered, and you have little buds in here, so you don't want to wreck those. You just want to snap that off, just like that. So here's a couple more. Let's do them together here. So here's the buds, and here's the, you just snap that off. And I'm wearing these disposable gloves because these rhodies have a stickiness, really sticky, to the bottom there. So you just go right through your rhodie, and that's how you're gonna just deadhead your rhodie. Yeah, and just take out the brown spent flowers. Another one here. And then that way it doesn't spend its energy going to seed, and it can just start putting its energy on growing. So we're just going to go through this here. Don't know if you can see that, but these just snap off super easy. If you're just wanting to take a skiff off, for example, say I like this height, like this is nice, but I don't want it to get any longer, you can also just snap these little buds off, and you'll see like they even have a couple more buds on here. You could just knock those buds off too, and then it will just push growth back further down here, like either in here or these buds. There's still more there's still more buds under here. They will also push out. It will get bushier, but it won't keep coming this way, at least for a year. I just have to deadhead some of these too, help clean it up a bit. So deadheading over here. And that helps also just to clean it up and see the shape when you stand back. We'll see how messy it is from the flowers, which is totally worth it. It's fine. They're beautiful shrubs, but if you just clean it up a bit, it helps to see the shape. And those are the buds. I don't want them growing anymore out here. So another little deadhead, and I'm going to also knock that bud off, and possibly those ones. And then I'm going to just step back and take a look and see what we have. So this is what you're going to have to decide where you're going to prune on them. Do you want these buds or not? And if not, how far down this stem should you cut? From this angle, it looks pretty good, the shape. However, when you come around this way, you start to see that it's actually a little bit wonky. We might want to just take this little corner piece out here, and we might want to lop the top off. I'm going to have a hard time reaching up there. And we'll probably take this off a little bit too, and just kind of get a little bit smaller. If you do want to prune it back kind of hard, what you're looking for is, can you see this little tiny, there's a little tiny bud right there, and you can feel it with your finger. So if you need to cut back, you need to cut back to where you can find a little bud. So Maybe this one would be a little bit easier to see it on. Well, for example, this one's easy. You could cut right back down to right under here, and then this bud will push out. So what you're gonna get happening, see these buds down here too? I don't know if you can see this bud here. This will also push out growth. So rather than it growing out tall this way, it will grow bushier. Same with over here. You could cut this off, and then this bud here is going to push out growth. So it will still grow, but it's going to fill in and get thick rather than long and coming out this way. So that's what you're looking to do when you want to prune these back, is you want to prune back to some kind of buds on this kind of a rhodie. See the swirl? See how the leaves come out? You get a swirl of leaves here, and then you get another swirl down here. So that's how you can identify the rhodies where this kind of rhodie has to be cut back to a bud. If you have random leaves kind of just growing all over, those ones you don't have to cut back to, you can cut them just about anywhere. But anyways, so for this type of rhodie, you do need to cut back to a bud. You could prune this into like a small tree form. You could bring up these branches, cut off the lower branches, and grow it as a tree. I also am going to go underneath here, and all these little tiny branches down there, they're just tiny weak branches underneath. I'm just going to go under there and clean those out right now. So these are just some of the little weak spindly branches that were growing underneath that are never going to get sunlight, and they're never going to set bud, and they're never going to flower. So they're just taking away some energy from the rhodie that could be going to the beautiful upper part with all the buds, which is what we want to see. So hey, the sun's coming out. Yay! So we got the top off. We used these. We made sure that there was a bud. We went down to the old wood, but we made sure there were little buds, and we snipped the top off. So now we're going to even this side out, and I'm going to take off some more of that really tall growth. So I'm going down here to where I can see there's buds, and I'm snipping that off. I'm going to start with this one, and there's buds right in here. So I'm cutting right above it. This one too. I'll show you where on the stem that I'm making these cuts. So this one, for example, is way too long. So I'm going all the way back in here to these buds. And I'm just gonna snip right in there to those buds. Take that back. And same with this one up in here. I'm going to cut this. I think I just got soaked. How soaked am I? Pretty soaked. Okay, so where am I gonna, now I'm gonna make another couple of cuts here, but I'm gonna stand back actually and take a look now. So find the buds. Okay, so in the peekaboo, over in this area here, we have it brought up quite high, almost like a tree on this side. So what I'm going to do is come over here and just take out a little bit on this side to even it up a bit. So we have this side here nice and rounded off. And what we're going to do is same idea over here, and just bring this down a little bit on this side. It's hard when they're this big to kind of just see it in perspective, right? So that's about it for pruning, shaping, and deadheading, and bringing it up a little bit on the bottom. So now we're going to go in the back and take a look at some of our other rhodies. So come on, let's go. So I just wanted to give you another example of another way that you can prune your rhododendrons or azaleas. You can do what's called rejuvenation pruning or renovations. Some people call it radical renovations, but anyways, you can do the rejuvenation pruning. You might lose your plant, it may not make it, but if it does, it will come back nice and strong, and the whole process will just begin again. It's almost like having a brand new little plant. That's what we did. So much more manageable for us. We needed to move these away from this area because this is our full sun and we want to put our vegetable garden there. So we had to transplant our rhodies and cut them back. And we have one more, don't mind the compost. And we have one more right here. So when we took this little guy out, now this was, I think this one's an azalea actually, but just, I'm putting my hand in there to show you just how much we've cut back on that. We cut him right down to the stump and we were going to remove him. However, we didn't have a chance to do that last winter, and the little stump sat out all winter and survived and put on growth. So we thought we would just put him back in the ground up here in the shade, better spot for him, and just let him grow and see what happens. So these two were just kind of a wait and see what happened thing. We needed to cut them back and we did, and they survived. So now we have one more that we transplanted and put up in the shade up yonder, and we're gonna go take a peek at that little guy. So this is our 1/3 little guy. First year we took off 1/3, then we took off the next year another third, then last year we took off another third and transplanted him up here. So now you can see this nice new growth all coming in, really nice and strong. So we're going to slow this part down by nipping these buds off and deadheading and letting these guys catch up so that we have a nice rounded shrub here. So we'll put a little picture up of our two little flowers. Okay, so we're going to start by just snapping this off and deadheading it. And I'm also taking this bud off and also these little buds here. So it won't grow anymore in height. It will only grow now. It'll push out growth from the buds down here and possibly like right in this little area here. And I'm going to leave these are okay, but we really want these guys to catch up. So what I'm going to do is I'm snipping that guy off right there. So I don't want these buds right here to grow up anymore. I'm just going to nip those out, cut this more on an angle. And these buds down here may push out, but we're hoping to get it to push out further down. There's buds down in here. And then that would be okay because these guys are going to shoot up some growth. And we're just going to keep doing this until it catches up. So I don't know if you can see here. I'm just snapping these buds off. And remember, wear disposable gloves because they're really sticky. And also this one here, just gonna, they snap off pretty good, but they also stick. Okay, this guy too, they just snap off really quite easily. Also knocking these little buds off. This one too. That one also, and also these ones. And that one. So I think that's it. That's all I'm going to prune for this little guy. Okay, so that's about it for pruning our little rhododendrons today. Remember, you want to make sure you get on this the sooner the better. Right after they're done blooming, don't wait too long because they will be setting buds for next year. And we may have sacrificed some of our buds for next year by pruning, but this is what we wanted to do just so that we could get this caught up and make it nice and even. So we're okay with that. It's still a beautiful little plant, and it's much nicer over here in the shade. It's got a lot better color to it than it did in the sun. It was all yellow in the sun. Don't forget to prune your little rhodies right after they're done blooming. Don't wait too long. So thanks for popping by, and we'll catch you in the next one. Snip, snip. I got these little flies all over me. What? Okay,